Okay, I would call the Maiden Voyage uh, with my new scooter, which is the fastest on the market. Not good. I don't know. See how bad I'm sweating. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to do it myself. I should have asked for help and been humble and asked the boat guy who rides motorcycles and stuff to get it into a parking lot for me so I can maneuver it. There's a parking lot like right across the street to a church, and then I hobble over there and then get used to maneuvering it and stuff. I guess I should have done that first instead of hitting a parked car. I guess a NASCAR term would be trading paint. But after I did that, back in the house, I just waited for the lights to come on and the trouble to start. But I biffed it pretty good, and it ain't in brand new like condition no more. I just took paint off of it. It works fine. Um, it's just a really weird thing to maneuver. I mean, I had a scooter that ran on gas before that topped out at around 35 miles an hour. That was only a little like 50 cc. It looked like a miniature motorcycle, and that thing is not a miniature motorcycle because it it's set up completely different. Like the slightest turn of that wheel, and you're zipping this way or zipping that way. So it's like it's got like a turning radius where you can just like do a circle in the hallway, and that's the part. That's why I hit the parked car, which is like two houses down. Um, but yeah, I inspected it, and I had real trouble getting it out of the house. The doorway is narrow. It's a tight squeeze going down the ramp. It's all doable with practice. I can't leave it outside, which would make life a lot easier, of course, because scumbags, thieves, crooks, criminals, those drug-fueled maniacs, those type of people. Uh, but yeah, that was scary. I hit that car. I wasn't, I don't know if let's put a little red spot on my arm, so at least I didn't hurt my arm. There's just a couple, you can't even see them. Just a couple little red marks from my arm because the main part that hit was like on the chassis next to the wheel, and then my mirror was intact, so I didn't smash my mirror. And I thought that's where I hit, but I just because I felt the pain in my arm, but where I hit was lower down on the vehicle, and the vehicle was already marked up. But I put a fresh mark on it, that's for sure. But it was already a marked up vehicle, and no lights came on, so I got away with it. Hit and run. It's always a good way to start out the Lord's Day, a Sunday with a nice hit and run. But yeah, it's just a bad idea. It's just machismo, wanting to do things yourself. You can barely walk. You need help, but now if that was my cop friend offering to help, or that was like lived in the neighborhood and could have helped me, I'd take him up on it in a minute. But because of pride, I don't want to ask this guy, you know, how much this guy cost me just in rides? You know, he's the guy that screwed me out of 900 bucks on the boat, uh, and didn't take care of my boat, broke all kind of promises to me, charges me money to pick up my medications when we're supposed to be like brothers. Um, you know, well, he doesn't charge me money. I shouldn't say that. What it is um, he'll come up with some excuse not to do whatever. So I just figured out like there's a 20 in it for you is usually my first or second sentence, and then he'll do it. You know, But otherwise, they'll be like, well, I got to do that and blah, 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 blah. But once I offer to give the money, there's no blah, blah, blah. They're like, I'll be there in about 15 minutes, you know. So you think somebody that lived, like, I don't know how close they live. Um, I used to be able to walk there. Oh, 4 years ago, used to be able to walk there. So they definitely live, I would say, a quarter mile away. Yeah, I'd say a quarter of a mile away. You know, you think it would be no big deal. But that's where pride gets you, man. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing on that scooter, but I was like, I can do it. I can handle it, and I'm not asking for his help. And my other friend that I wouldn't have trouble asking help from, he's in Canada fishing. But I mean, the thing of it is like, man, it accelerates too quickly. I mean, the guy warned me about that like 3 or 4 times. But you have to turn the throttle a little bit. But yeah, that's what happened. Is like I had I turned the throttle, and then I turned the throttle, and then that just pointed the wheel a little bit this way, and I throttled right into that red parked car, and I lost some paint on they might find some blue paint, but I don't think they'll think a cripple scooter is uh, or recreational. They like to call it, in case somebody wants to buy it, who just wants to tool around on it, because it's environmentally friendly and can go 18 to 20 miles an hour, which I found out you get that thing on a downhill run, just from the ramp. It's like, yeah, that 18 to 20 could turn into 30 to 40 real easy. Because it is heavy. I mean, I had trouble lifting it. Like, I had to lift it to get it into the house and stuff. And I just had to lift it a little bit, and it was hard. So it weighs at least 200 pounds. I mean, it's not a toy. But like I said, the thing that threw me is like the cornering on it is so intense. I guess I did skin a knuckle on this hand. I don't even remember how I did that. But that's no big deal considering what I did. Um, yeah, the cornering is just so intense. Like, I'm used to riding vehicles where like you can do a little shift on the handlebars and nothing happens. You do a little shift on this thing and it starts to turn. You do more than a little shift and you're going that way. Yeah. So I got it back in the house. It's missing a bunch of paint. That's where pride will get you. You know. But just don't want anything more to do with those people. Like a black hole as far as taking my money. And I thought about it. Like I this has nothing to do with my close encounter of the possibly pocketbook draining kind. But I can't think straight. I was fucked up what I just did. Um, shit, I had something I was gonna say, but I can't remember. Fuck. Yeah, I had sweat like running down off me because it's humid here already, and I was like a bundle of nerves. Anyways, I ain't never been on nothing like that before. I figured 6 o'clock in the morning was a good time to try it. But the problem is, it's a narrow street, and everybody parks on the side of the street. Nobody has a fucking driveway, and if they do have a driveway, they park on the side of the street anyway, or they got an extra car in the driveway. Um, or it's just convenient, I guess. No backing out of the driveway. But yeah, I don't know if that guy will even notice that, but I would say scratch about yay long on the side of it, at least. I didn't stop to I didn't stop and take out a measuring stick or anything. Man, I got the fuck out of there, which I had a hard time even figuring out how to do that. So what I need to do with that is I don't know, man. It's going to take a lot of nerve to get that thing back down the ramp again after today. But what I can do is, like, right across the street, I got access to this big parking lot where I can't run into anything. It can't be on a Sunday though, because it's a church. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of room there where I could like try to figure out how to get it to accelerate slowly. Um, figure out the cornering on it and the sensitivity, the turning sensitivity, and all that shit. I mean, I looked online for a manual for it, and I couldn't find. Yeah, I couldn't find anything. Um, and then I was like, well, shit, why can't I find a manual? All I could find was reviews on the thing, and then I looked on YouTube and I said, okay, this is a completely different model than what I have. Because I was like, they said, oh, your forward and back switch is this yellow button right here, your reverse and your forward. And I'm like, on mine, it's like, it looks like an on and off button. It's got a line and a zero, and if you push the line, you go backwards. If you push the zero, you go forwards because it's got reverse and stuff. But my street is not. It's all rocks and stones, and it's the street's a mess. Uh, it's not the place to experiment with doing that. And then just getting it out of the house was hard. I didn't want to ride it out of the house, which was wise. So I had to push it out of the house, and there's like 6 inches of clearance on both sides of my doorway for it. And then I don't know, there's more clearance than that on the ramp. But then that ramp that set up for the wheelchair guy, I almost like turned it sideways off of that ramp, and then I had to like take it back in the house and spin it around and get it facing the right way. And then I sat on it and I turned it on and I put it on like the safety setting and hit the throttle where it's almost like a crawl. I think it's like the 1 mile an hour setting or something like that. Which the 1 mile an hour setting or whatever setting that is that's below it, there's like a zero and then there's like a dial when it's below zero, whatever that is. It doesn't get you over curbs or through grass or anything like that. So you have to turn that up. And once you turn it, I just turned it up a little bit, because it goes from 0 to 100 as far as accessing the motor. So I just turned it up to never above 10. I mean, I just turned it up past the zero a little bit, and it just accelerates like way too quick. I mean, just like, I don't know if you can adjust something like that. I mean, I don't even know what damage I did to it. I think it's just cosmetic damage. I took a fair amount of paint off of it, off of the front part that goes down to the front wheel. But yeah, it's got all that resentment. I was like, man, I had to wait and ask the boat guy if he's working or whatever. And, I said, no, no, no. You want it for independence. You want it specifically so you don't have to deal with people like that. Just go out there and do it. So, after Coach Steve gave rookie recruit Steve his pep talk, rookie recruit Steve went out there and slammed into the side of a fucking car. And then was like, shit, I gotta get out of here. And then I couldn't even like make a quick getaway back up the ramp because I couldn't control the thing or had no clue on how to turn it or do anything with it. It's like I don't know why I thought it wouldn't be that difficult. Uh, but yeah, now I just have to chill, take it down the peg. I wish I could remember what else I was going to talk about, but I can't. And yeah, I didn't hit the wheel into the car. I hit the side. It was swapping paint, they say in NASCAR. I slammed into the side of the car. So that's why the that it don't look brand new no more. Not that I was ever planning on selling it, but As far as I can tell, there's no structural damage. I kept turning on the headlights and the uh, turning signals by accident and shit, and then like having to turn them off, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing with that thing. Um, I just figured, there's only so much to get proficient with it. You have to start. You have to get started. Believe me, I wasn't hot to trot to get out there this morning. I was scared, anxious. I've been stuck in the house for a couple of years, and where the only time I'm leaving is hopping into somebody's car and going to a doctor's appointment or going to pick up pills or going to the bank to drop off money. So, I don't know how I feel about that later. Right now I'm just relieved that no lights came on in the house because it's light out around here. Nobody come out of the house. Nobody heard the big crash. No dog started barking. And I was able to get the fucking leave the scene of the crime. So I don't know how I feel later about digging up my new scooter, which the thing was like new. Ain't like new no more. Anyways, um, like I said, I don't. It's just gonna be tricky to figure out. I mean, cause it's like I said, the doorway is narrow, and I have to turn it through the doorway, I have to prop the door open, go down the ramp, then I have to make another sharp turn down the ramp, then I have to go through some grass and hope the guy's trash can's not in the way, and try to hit the neighbor's driveway, and then get it out on the street. But I hadn't. The steering on there is just fucking weird, man. Like I said, it's just like you have to lock up the steering if you want to go straight. If you just barely turn that bitch, you're turning. You just barely move it. Like you ride a bicycle, or like I said, the only thing I rode was a bicycle and a 50cc scooter that looked like a motorcycle, but definitely wasn't. But I mean, you can wiggle the handlebars a little bit. It's just it's not going to do anything. It's just going to move it. No effect. This thing, man, mosquito lands on there, it's going to turn. And that's what when I went to turn the throttle, just from the natural motion of turning the throttle, it turned me that way and slammed me into that fucking car. That was the first time I really tried to accelerate on the thing. So, ay, 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 ay. Not good. Yeah. So I think this call might call for blood pressure pill or something. That's not good for your heart. And I had to wrestle that thing too, so my legs gonna be shit. And uh, my pain medication, um, they sent it back into the doctors because I didn't pick it up for so long because again, pridefulness, not wanting to ask help from people that are taking my money all the time. Not doing things because they like or they love me. You know, I Here you go, whore. Take some money. Do me a favor. That's what you feel like. It's it's like buying love. I actually had one of them say that to me. I said it's just money, and this is their words. This is how this conversation went. I, s- I said, well, here you go. And she was like, grateful, thankful. I was like, that's just money. And they're like, no, it's not. It's love. I said, man, you sick in the head if you think money is love. So the whore analogy is not too far off. I mean, if you got to pay somebody, and I grew up kicking people's ass for that. Oh, you already know my name. So they used to call him Little Barton because I was one of the toughest dudes in the school, small school, so not much of a brag. But I was probably, before the Duffy boys moved in and went on to play pro football, I was probably the most feared kid in the school. So um, when he came in there, he was a little tiny shit. So, uh, you know, I would beat him up myself, but nobody else is allowed to beat him up. Like, I beat him up when we were home, but you don't touch him. So they started calling him Little Barton. Leave him alone. He's Little Barton because his name's not Barton. And they figured out like that we were uh, related after I busted a couple of people up for bothering him. And this is the same guy that I got to pay to help me out. And that the boat guy. You know all the stories. So yeah, that stuff will make you bitter. But really, you kind of feel bad. I kind of feel bad for people that are like that. It's like, what happened to you? You didn't used to be like this. You used to have some kind of sense of honor, or like used to have like a moral value system. You know, like where everything wasn't about getting paid, or like you do things because it's the right thing to do and it's a good thing to do and it makes you feel good. And that actually brought me around to the other thing I was going to talk about, which was since I had what an aide does uh, misdescribed to me, if that is a word. I didn't wear a helmet, but it was not described to me properly what an aide does. So I'm actually probably $300 to $500 I could have saved, because I kept saying I don't want no aide coming here because they had to come at a set time and I want to be as independent as possible. I didn't want to have to make my schedule work around the aide. But I didn't know an aide could like go grocery shopping for you or pick up your pills or do this, pick up money for you, which made me feel uncomfortable. But she said it's against the rules, for liability issues. I can't have you in my car in case I get in an accident, you know, then you could possibly sue me. So I'm not allowed to. You're not allowed in my car. So I just gave her my bank card. I needed like uh, $75 to pay the dude for uh, dropping the scooter off from Galion, Ohio. So I just gave him 80. We didn't even talk about change. I said, "Here you go," and just gave him 80. And but yeah, so she has my card, and I think it's pretty much all the information you need. If is right is if you get somebody's card to go shopping online. So I said, "How long you been doing this job?" She's like 10 years, and I'm like, "Well, I could ask the boat guy, or I could trust a complete stranger with access to all my finances." So I chose to trust the aide, because she could lose her job over that, and it could be tracked down to her somehow. But that's gonna, if I think about the logistics of that, that's gonna sidetrack me from the fact that if that was described to me properly, I could have had an aide a long time ago, and it probably would have saved me between $300 and $500, just bribe money. Like, because every time, it's 20, 20. The last time it was 30. That shit adds up. And uh, taxis would probably be cheaper. I had like that in the pocket so my keys wouldn't fall out on the scooter. Jesus. Um. So yeah, they didn't tell me nothing about running errands like that. They just said, oh, they can help you like do housework around the house, or like if you need physical grooming help, like help you take a shower and um, old people stuff, like clip your toenails and stuff like that. And I was like, no. It's like, I need like heavy duty house cleaning. I don't need like light dusting and sweeping and washing windows type stuff. Um, so, yeah. It's like, damn it, if that lady would describe that properly. I wouldn't have $18 in the bank, which right now which is what I have because of that item that I just slammed into the neighbor's car. Damn it. What are you gonna do, man? Anyways, so yeah, that is the story of a fool, or what pride can get you, or you call it the story of a fool, a story of a prideful person, and what pride will do to you, or you just call it my maiden voyage on my mobility scooter. Didn't go so well. I think it's so weird. It's dead silent. Like I said, the acceleration rate on it. He warned me repeatedly about how fast it accelerates. But you have to turn it a little bit. But man, that little bit, man, you zip. I don't know, man. And then the fact that if I could keep it outside, like by the street, I lived in like a suburb or something like that. A nice, well, this used to be a nice neighborhood. But if I lived in a nice neighborhood where I could just keep it outside, it has a car alarm on it, which nobody wants that. I got raccoons, I got cats, I got squirrels. Nobody. I don't know how sensitive it is. It does have a fuse in it that you can unplug, but if somebody knows the vehicle, yeah, it's a fuse you can't reach. You gotta like have the key to open this box, and then you can unplug the fuse, and then they can't run it. But it only weighs 200 pounds, so you only need two guys to lift it, put it in a truck, and steal it. If I leave it outside. So, and since it's really worth $2,000 and not the correct sum of $565, which is what I paid for it, including the shipping, um, I don't want to risk that. I want to keep it in my house, but in my house, you seen how my house is set up. I have to go through my doorway with very little clearance, corner it around. I have to get proficient with it, really proficient with it because there's like that much room on each side of the rear tail lights through my doorway. Out the front door, there's a tiny little bit more room, and on the ramp, there's a tiny little bit more room, but it's all real tight, you know. Um, so, well, the upside is I got the nerve to try it, right? And that car was already dinged up, so, you know, it had a it already had issues. I didn't hit nobody's new fancy jalopy. I mean, I hit a jalopy. I didn't hit nobody's new fancy uh, ride. It made a whack though, and I was looking all around like, oh fuck me. But it is Sunday morning, and people like to sleep in on Sunday morning, so uh, good timing on that. I think the adrenaline's down a bit now, and yeah, well, my legs are gonna hurt later though from just lifting it, maneuvering it, and stuff. It's gonna be a bitch. I got the aide lady. She comes twice a week. She's coming in tomorrow so she can run to the drugstore and see if they got my gabapentin, which is not the most effective painkiller in the world, but it does help. And I don't anticipate today being a fun day. Um, But any day that you get away with a hit and a run and nobody gets hurt, that's a good day. And I didn't hit and run on nobody's new fancy car. There was like tape on it and a crack on the side of it. It's an older car and it had other marks on it. So they might not even notice that for like a week. And they sure as hell. I didn't stop to look to see if there was any blue paint on it or anything like that, but they sure as hell ain't gonna be calling no police like somebody fucking hit my car. This is the color paint or anything like that. That would just be silly. Uh, okay, I'm all right now. I I just did that thing like that one day where I had to push the electric bike home from the doctor's office when I died, where I just collapsed in bed immediately after a harrowing event in question, and you know, got on here right away. Calm down. Think it's all gonna be all right, man. Nobody knows you did nothing, and yeah, I'll get. I'll call my real friend, and when he gets back from Canada, and he'll take me someplace out in the open where I can figure it out how to maneuver it, And I did get it down the ramp okay. I mean, it took a lot of work, and I got it back up the ramp okay, but I forgot the part where I wedged my foot in between the ramp and the rear wheel. It didn't do no damage. It just I couldn't move, and then I had to hit the reverse button and back it up when the ramp is going down anyway, and then I had to hit the brakes and then straighten the wheel around, and then uh, hit the forward switch, then go back up, and then wheel it back around. And then once I, uh, yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I rode it all the way into the house before I turned off the key. I rode it into the hallway area rather before I turned off the key, and then I opened my door and pushed it in here, and then I laid in bed and uh, here and told you about my experience. And yeah. So, anyways, see you next time.